Welcome to episode 13 in our series of Energy Market Talks hosted by Enlit Europe. My name is Patrick Baudouin and I'm welcoming today's guest, John Ahlberg, who is the co-founder of Kärnfull Energi, Sweden's first energy retailer selling 100% nuclear power. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Patrick. Good to be here.
Well, we already know each other. Last summer in the Netherlands, I was actually the initiator of a similar initiative called Atoomalliantie, selling 100% nuclear power to Dutch households. And when the initiative started, we received congratulations from this company in Sweden that was doing the same thing, but started way earlier, 1 year earlier, I think, in 2019. And that was your company, Kärnfull Energi. So that's how we met. Well, companies like ours that sell 100% nuclear power are still pretty unusual in the European energy markets. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background, the background of Kärnfull Energi, and so who's behind it, and why did you decide to found the company?
It's a good question. So, well, again, I'm John Ahlberg. I'm an entrepreneur by heart, and I've been busy in many different segments of those kind of key industries for the future. I've been working with digital identities, with cashless societies, trying to think what's the next thing that needs to be dealt with, and of course electrification and clean energy is a key part of how we can make a more sustainable and enjoyable future. So you know, the interest in energy started rather late, although I've always been very positive towards nuclear energy specifically, and you know, solar energy as well specifically. So growing up in Sweden, I saw these great Ringhals powerhouses that were churning out great, cheap, clean electricity, and I you know, fell in love with technology, but never did anything about it. Then came 2018, and I was reading the IPCC report, and I saw the amount of nuclear energy that the world needed to add, so 5 to 9 times as much nuclear energy, and I realized, well, it really wins on all of the aspects in terms of cleanliness, and in terms of safety, and in terms of reliability, and etc. So why is no one promoting it? And it turned out to be a PR marketing kind of problem more than anything else, and that's something that I like to work with. So I just sat down with a close friend of mine in beginning of 2019, and we said, what can we do? And we found out about the guarantees of origin, the systems of certificates that the renewable energy industry has been using very, very professionally for quite some time. And we saw that Swedish nuclear energy was providing these certificates. So we figured, okay, why is no one selling that? Because it has the lowest emissions of any energy source. Swedish nuclear energy, for those who don't know, is down to 2.5 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour. So it's probably the cleanest electricity in the world over its life cycle. So we just said, okay, let's make a company that has the cleanest electricity tariff in Sweden, and see what happens. And so me and Christian Schollander, who's my co-founder, we've been, you know, doing different startup things for a long time, and playing around with ideas, and then we just decided to register Kärnfull Energi, or Kärnfull Energi, as you say, and issued a press release, and it just took off like crazy. It was everywhere, basically, in Swedish media, and we had, I think, 3,000 signups within a week from starting. So it was really cool, and we saw, you know, the whole industry sit up and pay attention, and we could start to engage in a very good way, I think, with the energy debate in Sweden. And we're just very humbled to be given the chance to you know, come at it from a very unpolitical and you know, we're very independent. It's a fully owned company by me and Christian. So it's just two guys with a dream to make a better planet, a more livable planet, an electrified planet, I guess. You know, if you zoom out on a macro level, and you know, in the short term, try to build a very appealing brand for Swedish households and Swedish small enterprises, or even medium enterprises now. So this was we launched it in August 2019,
Yeah.
and then that's the sign up phase started then, and then we started delivering electricity in December 2019, and now it's been a year of incredible growth, and I mean over achieving in every aspect. We set a roadmap because this is going to be a organic growth kind of company. That was our initial plan. We didn't know how that would be, but to have a really cheap, affordable electricity tariff that provides 100% nuclear, and it was also very important for us to put aside a small sum of that profit towards the a science and R&D donation fund that we do every year. So we needed to make sure that we weren't spending money on marketing that we didn't have to. So organic growth and word to word was going to help us. So we set a plan for stable growth. And yeah, it just worked very well. So here we are now. I don't know if you want me to to tell you where we are at, but that's some kind of how did we get here.
Okay, well, so that's how Kärnfull Energy was born. What does the word Kärnfull? So you pronounce it Kärnfull, right? What does it stand for?
Kärnfull is a play on words in Sweden. This was never, originally meant to be an international brand, as it's now, skip to the chase, as it's now become. But Kärnfull means vigorous, energetic, and honest in Swedish, and of course kärnkraft. So half of that word is nuclear power. So it was just a good word, and people tend to remember it, and it's so Kärnfull. It's kind of, I don't know if you heard of the fintech called Klarna from Sweden. They're very big now across Europe, opening offices everywhere. A fintech. Klarna is one of those weird Swedish names as well. And we've had IKEA, and we've had, all weird names throughout these years, and people have tended to learn Swedish brand names around the world. So when we now reach out, we decided to stick with it and try to make people talk about Kärnfull or Kärnfull. It depends on how you want to say it. I guess it's like Mötley Crüe or Mötley Crüe, the band that added all these umlauts to their name. So we're just we're going full speed with Kärnfull, basically. So it's going to be kärnfull.com everywhere.
Yeah. You're good with names in Sweden. So how did the Swedish energy sector and also the public responded to the launch of 100% nuclear nuclear product in the market?
I mean, so a little bit more background is that neither me nor Christian had lived in Sweden for a long time. Prior to this, I've been in Japan and in the UK and in France up until coming back to Sweden and setting this up. So we didn't really know how what the situation of nuclear power was in everyday perceptions. And Christian had been in the UK as well, so but we know what we felt like, and we did, of course, some quite a lot of Googling, and we saw that the public opinion was about 65% positive, 39% wants to see more nuclear, 16% wants it closed, and 12% are undecided. So it looked like a good fit to come to the market with. And I was surprised it wasn't around. Really, it started with, I would like to have this. Who can sell this to me? And no one was selling it. So we said, okay, screw it. Let's do it ourselves. So the press release was, of course, very well received. And media picked it up, and it was very positive, and we've really been surprised about that. How not surprised, but I could have easily seen people coming at us, if you like, but it's been very polite, and I think it's also down to the fact that we're extremely thorough with facts and all the articles and we're not out to polarize this question whatsoever. We're an eco-rational, if you've heard that term now, eco-rational movement.
Yeah.
And we want clean power, clean energy, and that means renewables, and that means nuclear power in symbiosis. And no one was picking up the nuclear power part of it, and it's the best by if you look at all these aspects. So we were honored to be the ones that got to do it first, and basically the energy sector. I think it took a week from we launched until Vattenfall added explicitly 100% nuclear on their own website. and we've seen, I think, about 20, 30 companies now in Sweden. There's, by the way, in Sweden, it's a 10, 11 million population country, and we have 150 electricity suppliers. So it's a pretty tough market, and a volume sport, as you know. But to stand out there and to have this organic growth is down to the fact that we were doing something different, and we kind of got these, I think 20, 30 companies have added 100% nuclear now, and we have a couple of copycats as well. So I think all in all, it's helped, because I saw the new poll came out just the other day, and it was up to 71% positive towards nuclear energy and retaining and building new nuclear energy in Sweden. So it's really the public's behind us. The politicians are, fighting about these things every week. I don't know if you follow, but we just shut down another reactor, and that's just thrown Sweden into a state of chaos, more or less. The electrical prices are skyrocketing, and we're importing every day now from Denmark, from Germany, from Poland and Lithuania. Equal or different shares, but every day we're importing fossil energy to replace the closure of Ringhals 1 and Ringhals 2. So we're on a trajectory that's not looking very good in terms of prices, nor in terms of emissions, or in terms of stability. And it's a shame, because a lot of companies would love to establish their electricity intensive businesses here in Sweden, especially in the southern part of Sweden. But now we can't guarantee that there's enough electricity. I saw the big ferry company were talking about electrifying their ferries here, and they have their port here in Gothenburg, where I'm. There's not going to be enough electricity to charge those ferries. So it's weird that Sweden go on this trajectory, because we've been so rational and smart about electricity for the past, well, ever since the 1980s, 70s. But now suddenly we've decided to just, hey, we're gonna add 20, 60, 70% more electricity usage in the coming 20, 30 years. Yeah. Like really moving up towards 250 terawatt hours a year. That's the largest estimation I've seen. At the same time, we're going to close down the stuff that's made us a stable and clean and reliable and affordable country for electricity. Yeah. So it's an interesting situation. I think Kärnfull showed up in the intersection of all these things happening. Yeah. And we just dig into that, and that's really been working, and it's growing, and every minute. Well,
and then it also shows that there's a demand for it. So
yeah, I mean, it's all down to public perception and about people knowing that nuclear energy. Either you in Sweden, so it seemingly people know it's clean, at least to some extent, but not that it's the cleanest. But then they have their usual gut feeling problems. But it's not, it's much less than I would have thought in Sweden, and would have thought. I don't know. What do you? Why would you even think? But I grew up watching The Simpsons, right? And then HBO and these things. So it's of course there's pop culture has not been very kind towards the nuclear industry, but on the same hand, the nuclear industry has been really bad at marketing itself, because you have such a superior product. I mean, it's ridiculous how much better it is than most things, and you just forgot to tell the world. So it's weird that a bald guy from Sweden can show up and start telling people that it's, wow, look at this, it's clean and reliable and repeatable and cheap. Let's liquefy everything. And so I think I don't know what kind of impact we've had as a company. It's difficult to assess, but I see that the narrative and the level of informedness and the level of debate is really, really good. And now in Sweden, and it's becoming more and more difficult to kind of defend weird political gut feeling, dogmatized decisions. Yeah. And that's a pattern that will repeat itself.
I think so too. You've been going on with this now for more than a year, 1.5 years roundabout. So how is it going so far? So I think you have some news also to announce.
Oh yeah. Well, it's out in the open, right? That's why we had to postpone the interview. Yeah, we launched in our second country this Tuesday. So we opened up in Denmark, which is incredibly cool for us. So to go into the to the lion's den, if you like. I mean, Denmark was one of those anti-nuclear hubs back in the 70s in Europe, and really drove that story home. So it's really cool because, but ever since we launched in Sweden, we've had these requests from other countries, including the Netherlands and everywhere, to come there, and we've looked at all of them and screened them, and we decided to take the first jump into one of the most difficult, but probably most growingly rational markets in Europe, and so we just launched in Denmark, and that's why I've been stressing out everywhere, because things are happening. I mean, we're a small company, but we have a great country manager and a great staff in place for the Danish venture, and sign-up phases began Tuesday evening, and we're talking thousands there as well. And it's a much smaller country, right? But we've had the good fortune of the media really digging into the story, not only issuing the story, but really doing long piece interviews with people that are wanting to power their lives with 100% nuclear, and explaining why. And so it's become a very nice conversation piece. So I mean, but I think it's proof positive that we're able to open in Denmark without any external investors or anything involved. To be able to do that a year after starting delivery in Sweden proves that the Swedish operations have been doing very well for us, and that we're able to scale up, and we see that the Kärnfull brand can travel, and we see no limitations really, because in every country there's about I don't know 10, 15, 20% of the households that would be considering to either if it's I like nuclear, or it's I want to decrease my emissions as much as possible, or I want to we really see that the segments aren't the ones that we thought originally, that you would assume, like grumpy old men, or I don't know, but it's rather we have a very young and I think I saw it was like 40% the female customer base in Sweden, which is also not what you expect. But I think it's really down to our narrative, because we're talking about the need to adhere to the Paris goal agreements. We need to set the bar for how we want to electrify the world. I mean, everyone's talking about, or not everyone, but a lot of people are talking about how to decrease the energy consumption in the world, and in the Western world specifically. And of course, that's great. We need to decrease the amount of energy we consume, but we need to electrify much more of that energy. So energy consumption, effective, downsized, great, but you're going to electrify everything. And to do that, we need nuclear power, and we need pretty much everything else as well that's clean. So it's we're in the intersection of all those things happening, and of course if we were to go the usual route, if you like, of this industry, and acquire customers and get aggressive marketing and sponsor football teams or whatever, we could probably be as big as we wanted to. But we want it to be a sustainable growth, we want it to be a long-term growth, and we want it to be profitable growth, of course, because that's also going to help us to be able to open in new markets, and also to give back more to the science and the innovation parts of this, because that's something that's important for us. Try to to do what we can to try to deliver the fourth generation of nuclear power, for example, in terms of waste recycling and those things. If we can contribute, year one, it's not going to be massive, but year 10, it might be substantial money that we can hand out every year towards a startup or towards an initiative, etc. So it's just a way for us to try to make it better, if you like.
Exciting future and exciting things that are happening. One more thing I wanted to ask you. You already mentioned it in the beginning of the interview. So like me in the Netherlands, we're both buying our nuclear energy via certificates of origin. Sometimes the criticism on this, you might recognize it, is that this way of buying power does not directly result in more nuclear energy being produced. So what are your thoughts on this?
I have thousands of thoughts on this, because it is it is the tool that's available for companies like ourselves and for the renewable companies that are doing their best to promote their products. But like you said, it's a faulty and broken tool in a large extent. And not, to me, it's not so much about does it really give more nuclear power. It's about how can we associate the real-time consumption of electricity to the real-time production of electricity. There's a disconnect. I see, you know, in nuclear power, it's not that bad because the capacity factors means that we're able to deliver pretty much all the time. Whereas, you know, and so you're consuming something. If you live in the proximity to a nuclear power plant, like you know, the Danes are very close to Ringhals, or you know, across southern parts of Sweden where we have most of our customers. So you're going to use nuclear power, but we want to see a shift. And that's also part of why Denmark is interesting, because we see they're advanced in towards to where Sweden is in terms of the electricity hubs that they have, and how they're approaching granular guarantees of origin, which is basically, in a more explicit way, associate production to consumption in real time. There's multiple ways to do that. We're digging into blockchain, and we're digging into different ways to be able to prove more, because that's how you do it. I mean, if you look at electricitymap.com or .org, I think is their URL, you can see this is the electricity that's being provided to me currently. And there needs to be a connect. And I see, you know, a lot of initiatives from Google. I see initiatives from other companies that are not so concerned about pretending to be 100% renewable from using guarantees of origin in the future, but rather talk about 100% clean 24/7. And that is exactly what the world needs. We need to take that path, you know, walk away from labels like, you know, renewable or this and that, and talk about fossil-free electricity 24/7. And I think the guarantees of origin is a good way to you know, to develop that system and try to make it more evident for people what they're actually using in terms of electricity. So yeah, it's broken now, but I hope we can be part of helping to put focus on its problems and to bring a much better structure into place, because you know, we would benefit from it as well, of course. But you know, it really fine. You know, I see companies here in Gothenburg selling 3-year fixed contracts with solar. We barely have sun in Sweden. So you look into it, and those guarantees of origin that they're acquiring, well, they're 16 months old, and they're from Italy, you know, or from Spain. And it's a, why would you even do that? That's to me, it's greenwashing, and I think it's really a shame, because it makes people also sit back. You know, I don't have to do anything because I have solar. Great, you know. So you don't. You know, you have the electricity mix that's in your outlets, and it looks like this. And when you remove a reactor, it looks like this, you know?
I think we both agree on that. Would be good to see something change in there. We have a little bit more time left. Can we also still talk about your advisory board? Because you're,
that was
donating revenue to research and development. You already said it. So you have set up an advisory board also to help you, to advise you about this. Now, so who is in the board, and how does this work?
There's you know, there's the official advisory board, and I will talk to you about that. But as also, I mean, as we walked onto the stage and took that helmet of being the nuclear providers in Sweden, that's a business to consumer company doing that. The whole energy industry that's interested came to our help. And so we have advisors pretty much everywhere. I have probably 20 of the best advisors in the world on the Twitter at any time to help us answer questions. But we do have a formal advisory board, and the advisory board fills many purposes. So we decided early on that we needed help, and we needed help to get exposure. So we decided to set up a panel of 8 people. And amongst the 8, you have some of the greatest professors and researchers, especially within waste recycling of nuclear power from Chalmers University. So you have Christian Eckberg, and you have Karin Selander-Björk coming from that angle. And then we wanted energy system experts. So we got Kirsty Gogan and Eric Engersol, who are, you know, incredibly talented and good at showing what the world needs to do and look like in the future. And then we wanted to add someone from the startup stage. So Caroline Cochran, the COO and founder of Oklo, the US mini reactor company that we all love, is on the board as well. And then we wanted to have some coolness, if you like. So, well, not that those guys aren't cool, but we wanted to have something fun. So one of Sweden's greatest singer-songwriters and artists with many mega hits behind him, Jose Gonzalez. I guess you've all heard his songs, at least if you go to Spotify. Jose is an effective altruist and really a rational guy, also actually with a degree from Chalmers University here in Sweden. So he's a really clever, but also an incredibly good artist and very massive platform. So he's on the board, and he's very helpful in terms of using his platform. And then we added Steven Pinker, the professor and author from Harvard University.
Very famous names.
Yeah. But they all wanted to come up, and it's a pro bono thing. And there's also actually, in terms of using celebrity, because I think part of what needs to happen for nuclear is what we see Isabel Böhmke helping out with now, the Brazilian influencer. Yeah, we need people that influencers to actually talk up and speak up. So amongst the board is also Johan Carlson, and Johan is not a household name, but if you go and look at pretty much any mega hit from Flo Rida to Katy Perry to Ariana Grande to all of these mega artists, Johan is a producer, songwriter in LA, who's really incredibly interested in the energy space and clean energy and the electrification, and a Swedish guy, living in the US for many years, and he works with some of the biggest names. And in every occasion he talks about nuclear energy and why it's so important, like Diablo Canyon right now for him is So Johan is also on the board. So in total it's 8, and it's an incredibly powerful engine for us to have, to be able to reach out and ask everyone, can you help us push this message, or can you help us decide what to do here? And now we're looking at all of these, because we're coming up to March, where we will announce the winner of the first Kärnfull prize, the Kärnfull Prize Awards in towards the end of March, and we're now looking at all of these candidates of at this stage, first year, it's kind of going to be like a scholarship or something that's money well spent into someone who has a big interest and heart and drive to make the next generation of nuclear power. So a young person. So we're looking into that space, and they're helping us to find the right candidates, so that our customers come March can help us decide who gets the award. And we're looking at having Jose play a little live streamed concert as well in connection to the announcement. So we'll see where that goes. But everything is just very pro bono, very heartfelt, very much us doing everything we can, and trying to help people understand nuclear power and understand that we can have a voice, not only like we've seen in Sweden, where the debate is better and more active than ever, but in every other country. We have a big following on Twitter and on Facebook, and we're able to get people to engage with what we're trying to do, and it's such a good I don't see much of the arguments anymore. Like someone like Kirsty Gogan, I think is a perfect bridge between the people that think that renewables can do this on its own, and the people that think that nuclear can do it on its own. The challenge is massive. The world is still at 80+% of fossil energy. So stop closing down nuclear power plants, start building new ones, but also expand everything else that needs to happen. And it's everything from smart grids to efficiency to Sula.
Oh, that all sounds amazing. We're going to keep a close eye on your launch in Denmark. Good luck with that. Any plans in the future to go to the whole of Europe? You want to cover every country in the future?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the Netherlands covered now, right? So we don't need to touch.
Covered,
yeah. But there's plenty of opportunities, to say the least. I mean, the Nordics, all across. There's plenty. I can't say too much, but it's all in the pipe. There's so much happening now behind the scenes as well, in terms of how we can grow and expand, because the brand is really becoming an important part for people, and it's growing in terms of how what it means and what we can do and how our services develop. So we're investing heavily into R&D of how to make our offer and the user experience better, but also in terms of where we can take it and how we can leverage different investments.
Great. Thanks for joining, John, and we'll
Thank you
stay in
for having
touch.
me. Yep, just check out Kärnfull, everyone. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you.